Welcome to Our Money Chat. You can reach us on Twitter at Our Money Chat. You can email us ourmoneychats@gmail.com. Today's topic is prevention. Talking about why we do certain things, how to prevent certain things from happening to us millennials. The case we're dealing with today is regarding um, a situation I'm personally going through, which is working out the future. Millennials were born first of all, again, Generation Y, 1976 to 2010. That's our official date of birth, and that's Gen Y. Excuse me, Gen Y to Gen Z, 1976 to 2010. Those are millennials. Anything older than that, younger than that, that's Gen X and Gen Alpha. And one of the things that we're going through right now in Gen Y is the moving into our 40s, moving into our midlife. Assuming that everyone lives till they're 100 years old, we're going to say 50 is going to be midlife. So we're preparing to move into the decade before midlife. And though a lot of us are, and in that, a lot of us are moving into a space in our careers where we are and should be moving into higher management, senior levels of positions. We should not be, assistants or anything that is not giving us the amount of cash and money and what we deserve given what we've given over these 10, 15 years of working. I started working when I was 16 because I wanted to get ahead. And I figured that, the sooner you start working, the more money you can save, the better off your future will be. Now, of course, we ran into a lot of issues, recession. We ran into situations where it was hard to get hired. Allegedly, right now, there are all these jobs opening, and that it's just so easy to get hired. I am hearing very different messages. I know for myself, when I decided that I was not going to stay with the company that I was with, that I loved my company, but I was not making the money that I needed, and I spiritually went into a space of God help me, because I am starving and I can't afford to have a marriage, a family, or things that I feel are necessary for one's well-being in life. For me, having a husband and having adopted children and helping move the world forward, being a part of that contribution is important to me, not just because it's good for the world, perhaps, to make sure you're contributing to the world and taking care of people and being there for them, but also for my own mental health. Because most of my friends are married already and they have their lives, and I don't see them much, and being a human, we need human interaction, and we need to have friends, and we need to have community. It doesn't exist for no reason. This is not something that you do because you're wealthy and it's a privilege. Community is a necessity, as is massages and taking care of yourself and going to the spa and going with other people. I mean, these things are not petty things. And if you want to fight me on it, come fight me. Come fight me on that, because I will fight you on it. This is crazy. You cannot have a life and not be around other humans. Even if you have certain disorders, certain parts of mental development where human contact is more of a stress for you, you still kind of need it, because you're going to need people to help you get through that as well. Given that, there are things that we have to do to make sure that we have the money and the resources, and part of that is unfortunately having to work. Whether you work for yourself or whether you have your own job, a job with someone else, working for someone else, and your own entrepreneurship, side jobs, whatever you're doing, it has to be enough to take care of your future. And part of my issue is I'm dealing with several generations of people who don't really know what they're doing. And that is across the board. I have yet to have run into an organization that truly knows what they're doing. And that's not to say those organizations are the only ones in the world. I had a boss at a huge network that I will not name. Many people who already know me know where I worked. That said, and he's a thought leader. He is still well respected. He's had a lot of troubles in his life, but he is very well respected. And he said, none of us know what we're doing. We don't know. We're all trying to just figure this thing out. And that goes for every corporation. At the same time, there are certain levels of skill and certain levels of experience that are needed in leadership in order for those of us who are learning and those of us who are bringing things to the table can do these things in a respectful and productive manner. And so that's where prevention comes in for me. I am doing what I can to prevent myself from being a victim of people's interim knowledge. And I say interim knowledge in the sense of like, there are people that I can see that I'm dealing with in a lot of different areas that are scared right now. They're shaky, they're nervous, and they don't know what they're doing. And it's very, very clear. And their indecisiveness in their leadership positions could potentially hurt many people. Because if they make the wrong decision, if they bring on board things that they don't need, if they get rid of things that they think they don't need, and I'm sitting here going, that's a bad move, but they didn't ask me, then somebody somewhere is going to get hurt. And I have to protect myself from potential hurt. So I went on another spiritual intense series of fasting and praying and just really giving this over to a higher power. And in doing that, I'm starting to see very slowly physical change. The mental change happened immediately. It was within like 2 weeks I started to see things differently. I started to see things that you only hear about in those heebie-jeebie movies that don't really happen to people, and according to some, oh, that doesn't really happen. That's all just fake. Oh, you can't prove that there are certain things. You can't prove there's a spirit. You can't prove there's a God.